A very good morning. It is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on both the East Coast in New York and New Jersey, the West Coast, Los Angeles, San Diego. Hoping you're having a good morning, no matter how early it is where you are. We're going to check our forecast right in our local neighborhood with meteorologist Mike Favetta.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So what's it going to be, pal? Is it going to be a cold day, a warm day? Is it going to feel like spring? It's on you. It's on you.
It's gonna be like a moderate day, somewhere in between, right? Not terribly cold, but not too warm. It's just right for winter. And as we head into tomorrow, though, it does get a little bit colder, but the weekend warms up. So a little bit of a dip in the wrong direction. And then I think we see a nice milder trend. There are some clouds around moving across New Jersey, even some snow upstate. But I think our forecast will predominantly be dry today. That is also the case out for you out west in Southern California. Had all of that rain yesterday, now drying things out a bit before some more wet weather comes in later on this weekend into next week. As far as the cold, we get a decent day today. You'll notice the breezes start to pick up, so the wind chill more of an issue, but it's another round of 10 to 15 degree below normal temperatures that'll take us into tomorrow with that round of cold weather to start off our Friday before the milder trend takes over for the end of the weekend. So again, a few clouds would due to some flurries off to our north. No accumulating snow here in New Jersey, but that's not the case if you're traveling a little bit further north today. We'll tell you more about the rest of the week's weather, including the all-important weekend and how that's shaping up. That coming up, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right, sir. We appreciate that, and we will definitely be looking for it. Right now, though, I look down and see 31 degrees in Trenton, and it makes me smile. Because I don't like seeing single digits at this hour. Me likes the 31 degrees, 34 degrees, by the way, in northern New Jersey. And looking at Los Angeles, 50 degrees there, Mike, with 52 in San Diego, one of my favorite places. Have you ever been, by the way, to San Diego?
Beautiful.
Oh,
gorgeous.
Yes. Pam was like,
Gorgeous.
Ken, move on. It's for the few people, the three people, including my Aunt Janet, who is in San Diego. We got to come out there. Let's do the show from San Diego sometime. That is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. So, all right. Thank you very much, sir. Looking at traffic right now, we have nothing to report on the West Coast. It's amazing. Yesterday, this time, because of the rain, there was a massive number of accidents. Today, nothing, really nothing at all. So we look at the East Coast right now. We have a road treatment going on the Atlantic City Expressway. Just watch out for that. 287, we have a crash with injuries southbound, south of exit 8, Possumtown Road, Piscataway. Left lane of 3 lanes closed. And the Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln is reporting 20 minutes in. The Holland is only 10 to 15. GWB, we take a look at the upper and lower levels, and we are seeing already a bit of traffic. That's a lot for this hour, actually. The upper level on the right, lower on the left, and we're told it is 30 to 35 minutes in at this hour. Well, we take a look at the news, and of course, FBI agents scoured the neighborhoods around Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home yesterday after they had somebody in the region had found a person of interest, of course, whom they ultimately released. That was about an hour south of the home. They released that person after interviewing that person. That person was on many newscasts saying, I'm just a delivery person. I don't know what you're talking about, but was very nice and cooperated. One search about a mile away, though, resulted in agents finding 1 or 2 gloves. They're not confirming one or the other in some woods. And those gloves are going to be analyzed to see if there's any DNA there and if it could be connected to the case. The FBI has received nearly 18,000 calls since Guthrie's disappearance February 1st, with more than 4,000 of them coming in the past 36 hours alone. Authorities are not saying if they've received any communication from an alleged kidnapper. They may or may not have. Some reports are that they have, others no, or if there's any evidence that Nancy Guthrie is still alive. We could all keep our fingers crossed at this point. It is 5 minutes past the hour. Great jobs numbers for President Trump. January's delayed jobs report gave Trump a spot of very good news, showing the economy gained 130,000 jobs. That's a number well ahead of expectations. Economists expected the U.S. to have added about 70,000 jobs in January, with the unemployment rate staying flat at 4.4%. The way that happens when you add jobs, if the unemployment rate stays flat, that means even though they added 130,000 jobs, 150,000 people were looking for those jobs, so they get filled right away. That's why the unemployment rate stays the same in spite of the fact that all those jobs were added. That's I always wondered myself, like, how does that happen? You just added all these jobs. How was unemployment the same? The Congressional Budget Office projects U.S. debt could reach $64 trillion within 10 years. Recent tax and spending policies are expected to increase annual deficits by trillions over that period. If we keep increasing spending each year as we have without paying back what we owe, with all the interest, we're going to end up at least $3 trillion in the red every single year. The White House removed a social media post in which Vice President J.D. Vance called the killings of Armenians a genocide. The post was made during Vance's visit to Armenia, but officials later said it was published in error by staff. The administration has largely avoided using the term, reflecting long-standing U.S. sensitivity over relations with Turkey. The Turks are the ones allegedly who committed the genocide against the Armenians, killing millions. Some criticized the deletion, calling it disrespectful to Armenians. The incident reignited debate over U.S. recognition of the Armenian genocide, which was formally acknowledged in 2021 by the U.S. under President Biden. President Trump said that he may block the opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge in Michigan unless the U.S. receives shared authority and economic benefits. You see, only under the Biden administration would we say, all right, we'll give you $100 billion, but we have no say in anything that happens and we don't get any interest on it. Why would you do that? That's the difference between a business person as president and Biden. The bridge would connect Windsor, Ontario, Canada to Detroit, Michigan, and is meant to boost trade and traffic flow. Though Canada is financing much of it, the U.S. would also pay for part of it, a good chunk. But our country wasn't going to have any control over it, nor were we going to have any revenues collected. The $6.4 billion project has been debated for years, but is finally nearing completion. It's going to be beautiful when it's up. It is 7 minutes past the hour. The Justice Department released the files of 6 men in connection with the Epstein case, but many were quick to criticize the release because the files were redacted. The Department of Justice said that information had to be withheld due to legal and privacy concerns. Some on the left are saying the DOJ is not being transparent. Valentine's Day is this Saturday, and candles often play a role, candlelight dinners and things, but we forget how easily a tipped over candle can spell tragedy. Think of those flickering battery operated candles instead as an option. The National Fire Protection Association says cooking is actually the leading cause of U.S. home fires and injuries, with nearly half of all reported U.S. home fires involving cooking equipment and 6,000 home fires involving candles. So reminders, if you are cooking with an open flame, don't leave the kitchen alone, even for a minute, or just shut the burner for the time that you leave the kitchen and reignite it when you return. That's all. This way you prevent the possibility of fire. And make sure you keep a big lid handy in case you are frying and the oil catches fire. Make sure the lid is bigger than the top of the pan, okay? Because if it's smaller, it doesn't serve any purpose. And also definitely keep those flammable kitchen towels away from your stovetop. That's another very important thing. It's very easy to have a corner of your kitchen towel touch the flame and boom, you are up in flames. It's happened to me. Thankfully, I was able to get it out on time. Beyond your looks, personality, interests, and career, where you live can play a major role in your chances of finding a job. This is very, very important. We think about, it doesn't really matter. All these little factors aren't as important, but it is in terms of meeting somebody, your chances of meeting the romantic partner of your dreams. While everybody values different things when it comes to dating, some places naturally make it easier to meet and connect with others. In states with a lower cost of living, your paycheck can go further. On the other hand, those who are more financially secure may prefer states packed with attractions that make for more memorable and unique date experiences. Dating is also a numbers game, and living in a state with a large share of single adults can significantly boost your odds. So whichever states offer the most dating-friendly environments, everybody's wondering, well, according to Wallet Hub, the #1 state in the nation, Florida, that's right, has the best of everything, including the numbers of people. It's the third most populous state. Of the states that we focus on most, though, that impact those watching this channel, California came in 4th overall, pretty darn good for the Golden State. New York came in 2nd. The Garden Staters, middle of the pack, came in 13th. Got something to work on there. Well, the 2026 Daytona 500 is this weekend. In fact, our director, Pam, she's been there. Did you want to put up your picture, Pam? I don't know if she wants. Oh, there she is. That's Pam on the left. We talk about Pam all the time. That's beautiful Pam and her husband. Hi. There we go. See, look at you at Daytona 500, all fancy schmancy. NASCAR's favorite drivers are headed to Daytona Beach right now to race 500 miles around the iconic oval track at Daytona International Speedway. I happen to be sitting in Fort Lauderdale right now, so that's just 5 hours drive directly north of me. Actually, it's 4 hours. The full entry list won't be determined until after today's dual races, with 8 contenders still vying for the 4 Daytona 500 spots. So they will race, and whoever are the top 4 are going to make it into this weekend's race. The actual race starts this Sunday at 2:30, but there will, of course, be all sorts of events between now and Sunday. And we have some sad news. James Vanderbeek, star of Dawson's Creek and Varsity Blues, has died. He was only 48. Vanderbeek announced in November of 2024 that he had been diagnosed with colorectal cancer, though his official cause of death was not released. Vanderbeek is survived by his wife and 6 children. Very, very sad. He was a great actor, but he wanted to make sure people knew what he had in the event that the inevitable did come. And we don't know that he died of colorectal cancer, but the chances are that he did. But he talked about it there in that video, and he wanted to make sure that people are aware. If you have any symptoms, bleeding from the rectum, don't wait. The more you put it off, the lesser your chances are of survival. I've had 2 friends die of colorectal cancer. I have polyps in my family, so I get a colonoscopy every few years. Make sure, even if you're 40, 45, talk to your doctor about regular colonoscopies. It's the safest way and the best way, the most accurate way to determine if you have any chance of having colorectal cancer. You could save your life. It is coming up on 13 minutes past the hour. And when we come back, Valentine's Day, as we said, is almost here. It's Saturday. We will speak with an author who says that real relationships aren't built on pressure, but rather on authenticity. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the weather near you when we return. You are watching Mornings with Ken Rosato, covering the East Coast and the West Coast. Stream daily on Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, Facebook, X, ONNJ.com, and ONLACA.com. And now we're streamed live on Local Now, Substack, Rumble, and Twitch. That's a lot of places. Don't tell me we don't know where to find you, Ken. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Thursday. It is 15 minutes past the hour, and our friend meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, let's see. 31 degrees in Trenton. The only thing that we have is I know that when the temperature gets up to the low 40s and there's a little
Hmm.
rain, and then at night it gets down
Yeah,
to the low 30s or 28, then you
right.
get a little refreeze.
Oh
So
yeah.
people really watch out for that patchy ice, don't they?
The town was covered in black ice yesterday. Covered. Even the crossing guards warning pedestrians, saying, hey, look out there, there's some black ice because of all of the refreezing that occurred last night. Now, it wasn't a deep, deep freeze, but it was just enough to create that coating and allow for some slip and falls yesterday. Well, now the clear sky this morning allowed for temperatures to dip down yet again into the upper 20s, but we're back up in the low 40s again this afternoon, so it's not terribly cold across New Jersey, even with that clearing throughout this afternoon. We've been showing you all the weather all across the Northeast, and with that, we have another round of cold weather, with the snow staying off to our north and west today. So, sorry, that should say Thursday. With all of the clear sky going into this afternoon, see what happens when you make graphics before coffee? This cold air sticks around for the next few days with that below average temperature, and then some of this milder weather with a nice little ridge, that little bump or hill in the jet stream, moves eastward and provides the warmer weather. If you've been watching the Olympics, you've seen some of the clearing that's been occurring at times, but mostly it's the cloud cover that's been over a lot of the events this week. But with another round of light snow happening, maybe another inch over in Cortina, helping to keep those trails nice and covered with snow. Get another little bit of rain throughout this weekend in Milan, and then overall it's going to be nice and quiet for us and cold, but still cold enough to enjoy the Olympics as well. You have another quick round of wet weather that comes in central and southern New Jersey on Sunday. I don't think it makes it across the northern part of the state. And then beyond that, into next week, it's dry going into Tuesday and Wednesday, with our weather remaining quite clear for most of next week. But it's that milder trend that comes up that will feel lovely. We'll tell you all about that with another check of your forecast and take a look at Southern California's weather in our next weather update.
All right, love that. Thank you very much, Mike. A tad warmer than it is in the Northeast. In fact, let's see, right now, 31 degrees in Trenton. It's 34 degrees northern New Jersey, 30 degrees now in Vineland, 32 in Cape May. On the West Coast, Los Angeles now at 51. It is 53 degrees in San Diego. Beautiful San Diego. God, I love you, San Diego. Looking at traffic right now, we have a crash with injuries. 287 southbound, south of exit 8, Possumtown Road in Piscataway. Left lane of 3 lanes currently closed. We have delays on the New Jersey Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound from north of interchange 14 to just about 15E routes 1 and 9 in Newark. That's about a 2-mile delay. Everything is open, but just a lot of volume through there right now. We look at the Hudson and let's see, the Hudson River crossings. We have the Holland Tunnel right now at about 15 to 20, Lincoln Tunnel 20 minutes across, and the GWB upper and lower already pretty heavy at this hour. Let's take a look. Look at that slope. So we have about a 35 to 40-minute crossover time, upper level on the right, lower on the left. To the West Coast we go. We have traffic hazard in the roadway in East LA right now on the 605 by the 10. And then we have, let's see, it says here, an assist with maintenance. That's a broken down vehicle. This is in Central LA on the 5 northbound at Colorado Boulevard. We also have a collision right now on the 110 at 190th Street in South LA. Right now, we have, again, a temperature 31 degrees in the Northeast in the New Jersey area, with Valentine's Day just 48 hours away. We have lots of relationship talk happening. So what is the key to finding the right person? Could it be starting with showing up for ourselves? Case Kenny is a writer, speaker, content creator, and author of The Opposite of Settling, and he's here to talk about it. We say good morning to Case.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Good to have you on. And you say that loving yourself is essential first. Talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I approach love, relationships, self through the lens of language. That is, my background is in linguistics and language really dictates what we expect in life. It's been proven that people who expect good things to happen, positive expectancy, achieve more and attract healthier relationships. And that all starts with self, the concept of self, the word of self. That is the purpose of a relationship, is to amplify your sense of self. And I think this is something that we've lost track of a bit. We're so focused on having a partner, being loved, checking the box, reducing the amount of pressure we have in life. Whereas the purpose of a partner in your life is to make you feel like more of yourself. So really, especially around Valentine's Day, the better question is, who am I? What brings me joy? What makes me weird? What makes me passionate? What makes me quirky? And does this relationship, does this person actually amplify it or not?
So you talk about shifting from settling down to settling up. So why is that important?
Yeah, it's another one of those things, right? I talk about language. We always say, I found myself saying it, certainly, I want to settle down. And and that's a fine thing, of course, right? To settle down is an immensely powerful thing, where you have a partner and you have the responsibility and you have the simplicity, frankly, of being with someone, and the commitment is so strong. You're settling down in that sense. But I've always found the phrasing to be curious. It has the word settle in it, which we know we shouldn't do in life. It also has the word down in it, which I think gives the purpose of a relationship the wrong sales pitch. For me, the purpose of a relationship is more. It's having commitment with someone, so much so that you know you should get more out of life together, whether that's more travel or more culture or more music or whatever it may be, or more just that sense of self. So I think the language is really important. I call it in my book the idea of settling up, that is being with someone who brings out more of your best self.
And optimism, you say, is a method. What does that mean? How do you translate that?
Yeah, it's a method that's powered by language and linguistics. The example I always give, and I reference the idea of positive expectancy. That is, you can train your brain to expect good things in life. And when you tell your brain what to notice, the brain notices. The brain is really good at connecting dots and helping you find those things. I think especially around Valentine's Day, let's say you're not in a relationship and you have so much to give and so much to offer, and you're not with a partner, we have this tendency to construct language around that of, I want a partner, or even I will find a partner. And that's incredibly powerful. The better way I've found with language and the method of it is use the present tense. Instead of saying, I will, or I hope for, you say, it's happening. This is happening. I am finding my partner. My partner and I are finding each other. There's something in psychology called the endowed progress effect, which says that the brain really wants to complete tasks that it's confident are already in motion. So you tell your brain, this is happening. I'm finding my partner. We're on our way to meet each other right now, versus I hope, I will, future facing. The brain constructs your reality around that. So use present tense. It's happening.
What happens when people set expectations a certain way, or they demand too much of their partner? Because there used to be a play on Broadway here in New York years ago. It was called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. I don't know if you're familiar with that play. Think about it. And that's so many relationships. Oh my God, you're the perfect person. Now listen, if you'd only do this, if you could tweak that, where somebody tries to tweak the other person in the relationship, that's not what the other person wants. Do too many people expect that exact duplicity of themselves? It's okay to be a little different as long as you complement each other, right?
For sure. I mean, the opposites attract. Like, the purpose of a relationship certainly is to add more spice to your life, more variety to your life. Yeah, the topic of change is a tough one. I mean, I think we always have to operate through the lens of reciprocity, right? That is offering my partner the same thing that I want to receive, giving and receiving the same amount of effort. And of course, realizing that compromise and sacrifice is a part of a relationship. But to click on the word that you use, the idea of expectations, I think we really need to practice self-awareness, mindfulness in this context too, of where is this expectation coming from? Especially in the day and age of the internet and social media, we're borrowing other people's expectations about what love should look like, what a good partner should look like. And then we're trying to change our partner or change ourselves to fit this model of love. But love, of course, is not a one-size-fits-all model. What someone else needs isn't necessarily what I need. So I think we really need to practice the diligence of self-awareness to say, other people's versions of love is their versions. This is my partner and I, and we have a version of love that works for us, or we need to change to grow our love together. But really clicking down on where are these expectations coming from my experience or from strangers on the internet. I think that difference is very important and very telling.
Kenny, I think in 5 to 10 years, we're going to find out that the whole swipe right, swipe left mentality that so many people have been indoctrinated into right now well, we're going to find out how much it destroyed relationships because of just the surface that it's created, just the face. Okay, swipe, 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 swipe. Interested, not interested. Meanwhile, there's a lot more depth there than a face. We're going to find out, I think, later we made a lot of mistakes there. And the healthiest relationships happen, of course, when two people recognize. I love this line from your book. That's my kind of weird. It's about authenticity, obviously, not just accepting it, but liking it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, I agree with your commentary there. I think we're in tricky times, but I think if we can return to the purpose, if we could return to optimistic language, I think people can prevail. And I agree. That is one of my favorite lines from the book. And that, yeah, the purpose of a relationship is a return to playfulness as well. It's like, what is the point of life? The point of life is to be playful. It's to find joy. It's to be weird. It's to be passionate. And the best environment for that to plant a seed in fertile ground, to be weird with your partner, to accept that energy, to celebrate that energy. I think that really is the purpose. And it's tough, especially around Valentine's Day, where there's so much pressure. And the last thing we're thinking about is being playful. But I think returning to that in a really genuine way is ultimately the goal: to be playful, to be weird, to be passionate, and to be celebrated by your partner.
And we got about a minute left. How can somebody start settling up today? What's the first thing they should do?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best things certainly is your ability to name what you're looking for. There's also a lot of psychology around. They've shown that people who can specifically name what they're looking forward to are more likely to make it a reality. Again, the brain is looking for evidence, is looking for marching orders. You tell it exactly what you're looking for as far as how is this person going to make you feel? What are the actions? What is the reciprocity? Your ability to put words behind that is really, really important. Not necessarily expectations about how things should go or how someone should look or anything like that, but the important things. How is someone going to show up for you in the way that you show up for them? Being specifically able to name it is an enormously helpful first step.
And the book is called The Opposite of Settling. Writer, speaker, content creator, and author Case Kenny. Thank you for coming on this morning. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. When we come back, Black History Month is a time to honor, remember, and celebrate the generations of Black Americans whose lives and contributions have shaped our nations. We're going to talk about that. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Back in 2 minutes.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
A very good morning. It is 30 minutes past the hour, Thursday, February 12th. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Our phone lines are open at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full forecast for your area.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So, Mike, more moderate temperatures in the southwest and moderating a little bit in the northeast. Nice to see that things are coming up to kind of seasonal.
Yeah, it is nice. And I'm so glad that the weather is actually following the calendar. Whereas the coldest part of the winter has passed, we're now moving into milder territory and just in time for the nice extended holiday weekend, right? With many people having off on Monday for President's Day. Our forecast points to a little bit of a cloudy start, especially across the northern section of the country. But notice all the clearing that's occurring down across Southern California. That's the nice dry weather that takes over for the next few days. Anything but that over in the Po River Valley where the Olympics are taking place, even though it's clear for this afternoon and to tomorrow. Look what happens by Saturday. More rain comes in, allowing for kind of a wet scene all across the games throughout Saturday. And then by Saturday afternoon, snow up in the mountains. So reduced visibility for those skiers at the events over in Cortina and over by Bormio and Livigno. And if you've been watching, you've seen that weather gets very variable day by day. Temperatures also warming back into the 50s, which it's a little milder with that wet weather, but still kind of a damp, cool feeling all around. Our forecast points to another chill settling in here across the northeast. Even though it's not as cold for the weekend, look what happens with this front that pushes through, gives us a little chance of a flurry, especially off to our north later on into tonight. But it's the clearing that takes over the next few days that will look very nice into this weekend with dry weather around throughout our Friday and Saturday. So there's late Friday night into early Saturday morning. Little Clipper tries to get us, maybe gives us another powdery coating on the car tops. But it's this big rain system by Saturday night into Sunday that stays just off to our south and really hits most of the mid-Atlantic, giving us maybe some clouds into Monday morning, but the bulk of the rain will be well off to our south. So some really good news there heading into next week. Another view showing with the clouds, again, just cloudy skies for us into Monday, and then we're dry going into next week with that warm up ahead. You've cleared out across Southern California. We'll let you know how long that sticks around coming up with another check of your forecast, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We got 31 degrees still. It's not budging in Trenton. It is 34 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 30 degrees Cape May, and 30 degrees in Vineland. Los Angeles right now, 51, 53 degrees in San Diego. And we look at traffic in the area. Let's take a look at let's first mention there's road treatment going on the Atlantic City Expressway, impacting traffic in both directions from the Atlantic City Convention Center, eastern terminus in Atlantic City to the western terminus, Route 42 in Washington Township. So just be aware of that because you're going to see the trucks doing work on the roadway through there. And we have a crash now. We go to the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur northbound by the Southern Mixing Bowl in Newark. The left lane is blocked. You can see it's causing a little bit of a slowdown, not a major problem, but nonetheless, that is impacting traffic a little bit. Once again, JFK reporting Terminal 4 parking. That's their international lot. The blue lot is 100% occupied. So if you were going out to JFK to catch a flight, if you don't have a reservation to park your car, then you're going to be SOL. When you show up, you're going to be looking for a space and miss your flight. So make sure you have a reserved parking spot. Newark and LaGuardia right now have plenty of parking, so don't worry about them. But if you're going to JFK, and for those in New Jersey, that's pretty much an hour-and-a-half to 2-hour drive, depending on where you are, where you're coming from. Make sure you have a place to park. Look at the, let's take a look at the approach to the 495, the Helix, which takes you into the Lincoln Tunnel. Do we have that pen? There we go. Little sun glare right now. You could see the people coming out from New York on the left side, a little bit heavy, but the people going in, just as they come around the bend where the sun is, they're going to encounter some massive amounts of delays. We don't know why. It's in the center tunnel eastbound. All lanes are open, but they're saying it's now 35 to 40 minutes of travel time. We'll see if we can figure out what that is. The Holland Tunnel's a good bet. It's only 20 minutes in. And if we can go over to the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approaches, all moving pretty well. Right now you can see, well, actually moving pretty well for this hour of the morning. It's actually moving, in the fact that it's moving at all. The upper level's on the right. That's going to cost you 30 minutes. It's 35 minutes on the lower level on the left. And we take a look at the West Coast right now. California Highway Patrol telling us that we have a traffic collision right now in South LA. It's on the 110 at 190th Street. And we have a closure of a roadway in Baldwin Park. It's the 210 East at Northtown Avenue. Well, Black History Month, that is this month, February, it is a time to honor, remember, and celebrate the many generations of Black Americans whose lives and contributions helped to shape this nation. As the U.S. approaches its 250th anniversary and the 50th anniversary of Black History Month's official recognition, new tools are helping families to reconnect with their roots. Nika Sewell-Smith is the senior story producer at Ancestry and a professional genealogist with more than 20 years of experience, including researching the lives of enslaved people. We say welcome and good morning to you, Nika. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
You bet. First of all, the idea that you're a genealogist has me, when I read this last night, I thought, that is the coolest thing to do. That would be, if not this, that would have been something I would do because it's so fascinating. I love history and I love the detective work. So it just must be fascinating. I'm sure you love what you do. And that's a good thing, obviously. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's how I got into genealogy. I went to college for journalism. And I actually think that's what makes me a good researcher is trying to find the angle of history or a person's story that no one is particularly thinking about.
I love it. See, so we have a similar background. So that's my next step. I got to get into genealogy at this point. And many have said that researching Black family history can feel overwhelming because of the gaps in historical records, obviously. What would you tell somebody thinking about starting their family research at this point, Nika?
Well, the first thing I would do is give them permission to do it. Some people feel like they need to be knighted, like someone needs to come and tell them, oh, you are, oh, wise one bestowed the ability to look for your family history. And pretty much anyone can have the opportunity to do that. It really starts with what you know and what you remember about your family. Many of us grow up going to family reunions every year or every 2 years. That's something that I grew up with in my family, where we're around the elders, we're hearing people tell stories about where our family was from. In particular, people in New Jersey likely have ties to North Carolina, South Carolina, or even Virginia. And, maybe it's the folks who migrated up from those areas, or maybe it's your sojourns back to those places during the summer to visit family. All of that, all of those stories, all of those memories, all those people have crucial facts that can help you build out your family tree. And the process really is simple. Start with you, start with what you know, talk to your family members, look through your homes, look for things that are rich full of information, such as funeral programs, obituaries, anything from deeds to wills, probates, all sorts of stuff can help you guide the process. And then you come to us, you come to Ancestry, start building out your tree for free and start looking through historical records. It's so incredible when you find someone that you knew in a historical record documented, like something like the 1950 census. That's the most recent one we have available to us. So the first people I went to look for on that were my parents, and it was so awesome to see them as kids living in Chicago.
Wow, that's very cool. And I mean, I know that like some friends of mine over the last 10 years have sat down, we all have one of these now. And you sit down, you set it up on a shelf, you let it roll, and they did interviews with grandma and mom and dad and save that. Make sure you save it on the cloud, make sure you save it somewhere in a hard drive and pass that down to the kids, because now not only will they have the stories, right? But they'll have the pictures and hear the voices of grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and all those great voices that when they pass on, you're going to want to know, remember what they sounded like. Dad had that funny laugh, and you're going to want those kids and grandkids and great grandkids to hear that. And it's so special that we have that capability now. So now in the event that we have somebody who's, as you said, feels knighted, right, to go ahead and do the research. What happens when they're confronted with challenges, whether it be the gap or whatever? What do you recommend? Should they just keep digging? Where should they go to look for more information?
Absolutely. I think really what help support you in coming to Ancestry are just the tools, the suggestions that we give you as you're going along the way, whether it's when you're building your tree out, it might be something like suggesting a potential ancestor for you, or things like hints, where we look at the name and the date and the location that a particular person was in, and we give you suggestions on records that connect back to those individuals. So it could be anything from birth, marriage, and death to I've seen everything from like Major League Baseball questionnaires, for the media, passport applications, all of those things. There's all these little nuggets and clues there. And I usually, most people, the thing that gets them hung up is like spelling of names, and the fact that, they're like, I think this is the right family, but I'm not sure because we spell our last name Brown without an E, and on this record it has an E. You're just really looking for confirmation that you have the right people. Are the family members within that family group the same? Are the ages approximately the same? You're also looking for additional resources, really kind of rounding out what it makes up the records of where you're living. So, for instance, or where you're researching. So it could be in a state like Virginia, there are births, even for enslaved people, that are documented there. You can even look at death certificates. Those will give you the names of parents. So if you're stuck and you can't quite figure out exactly what to do, usually 9 times out of 10, your next step or your clue for your next step is hiding in a record that you might not have reviewed all the way.
Gotcha. And by the way, just for the record, I am an Ancestry customer. There we go. And so I have, there you are. That's my tree, and it shows my genetic background and everything. And they do have a misspell in my grandfather's last name, my maternal grandfather's last name. And I submitted, and I haven't gotten the update yet. So we'll make sure that's clarified. But I'm glad you talked about that, because nip it in the bud, right? And have it corrected so the future generations know the deal. We're down to the last
Right.
minute. I just want you to tell a specific story, if you can, in this short amount of time, about a local story that you have, the stories of us.
Yes, this is our amazing campaign that we launched to celebrate America 250, where we're telling the stories of everyday Americans, some that you may know and some you may not. And there's an incredible story right there in the community of a Black woman named Henrietta Bowers DeTurt, who operated a mortuary, and she used that mortuary as a way to ferry people through the Underground Railroad. And this is an incredible history that I had the opportunity to research, looking at her billing for her services. She's buried in Eden Cemetery, and it's such an incredible and remarkable story that people might be walking around and not realizing that they might be passing through areas that she may have been connected to. And so you'll learn about her and so many other people across the country throughout this year with the Stories of Us campaign. And you can find out more looking at records, photos, and more at ancestry.com/stories of us.
Well, like I said, I'm a client. I love it myself. I've been for many years. Professional genealogist, senior story producer at Ancestry, Nika Sewell Smith. Please come back. And thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. It was our pleasure. It is 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, we have lots more for you. So don't go away. You are watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Back in 2.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
And welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Thursday, 45 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, looking forward to that Valentine's Day weekend. Just
Mhm.
please, if you know anyone who says Valentine's Day, pull them
No,
aside to have a conversation. Just
no,
a little conversation.
no.
Like, excuse
I
me.
throw it in
You're
there, and
not
I
2 years
mentioned
old.
before. No, I
You're not
mentioned
2
before.
years
We
old.
say Saint Valentine's Day, and everybody goes, "What? What?" And it's like, yeah, look at the origin,
Forgetting
right?
it's a patron saint. Yes.
Right, yeah.
Uh,
So on a feast day, it's weather fit for a feast, right? Just with all of the beautiful weather all across the country, with the warm up on the way for Southern California, the dry, clear weather today. Nothing more than a few high, thin clouds around early this morning, but all of that rain from yesterday, long gone, and that's some great news, keeping things dry. There will be a little bit of wet weather returning, I think, that takes over by the end of the week, specifically tomorrow. You get a little bit of a marine layer here showing up, especially down towards San Diego, and then the high takes over, drying you out again for starting off the weekend. So while Saturday is a little cloudy to start, gradually transitions to more clouds by Sunday morning. Then you have the rain that comes in for Monday. So it's another wet start. I think we're going to be on the air again. Well, actually Tuesday, we're off on Monday, but Tuesday showing that wet weather again, taking over to start off your day there in SoCal. Our forecast for the Northeast has those clouds around for this afternoon, a little bit of clearing by later on today, and then tomorrow is a beautifully dry and sunny day before a few snow flurries try and come through. It's a clipper system. It's weak. It'll likely give us maybe a quick coating on the car tops by Saturday morning, and once that clears out, we kind of skirt by with another little system that scoots off to our south, not anticipated to give us much, if any, rainfall, as most of it stays south of Cape May. But looking forward to the big warm up ahead. All of this above average temperature works its way out east and keeps us feeling great right through the end of the month, Ken. So warmer days ahead. That'll feel wonderful heading into the next few weeks in February.
Three of my favorite words ever uttered. Warmer days ahead. You see this? Look at this. See the sun on my face? No matter how
That's
much I
it.
put I have blackout blinds in this room, and no matter how much I try to keep out mom's son, I call her mom's son, not dad's son. That's what happened. But I'm proud of that. Let's get the warmth in. That's what we got to do. Got to get the sunshine in. All right, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you very much, sir. It is 31 degrees in Trenton, 32 degrees now in Morris County, New Jersey. It is 31 degrees in Cape May. And then we look at Los Angeles. We have 51 degrees, 53 degrees in San Diego. In terms of traffic, we have a crash on 676 northbound, south of exit 4, Atlantic Avenue in Camden. Take a look at the mess for that. The people coming toward us, the right shoulder is closed, and that is causing about a 1.5 mile delay. What an absolute mess as you make your way into Camden. We have road treatment going on the Atlantic City Expressway. There were so many potholes from the cold weather, they had to patch it up and put down some salt because of all the ice. So that's happening in both directions. Atlantic City Convention Center to the western terminus in Washington Township. All lanes are open. Just please use caution through there. We go over to the New Jersey Turnpike, Western Spur northbound, the Southern Mixing Bowl in Newark. The left lane is blocked. That's causing the delays you see on your screen there. And then we have problems at JFK right now, the Terminal 4 parking, blue parking. The main lot in Queens, that is currently at full capacity, 100%. I don't think I've ever seen it at 100%. So if you are driving to the airport, make sure you give yourselves extra time and you reserve a spot, or else you're going to get there, be late for your flight. And by the way, they don't wait for you. I found that out the hard way. I said, "Do you know who I am?" And they laughed and told me to go to Southwest and see if I could buy a ticket there. In terms of the Hudson River crossings right now, Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 25 to 30 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels right now. You'll see bumper to bumper on the left. That's the lower level. The right, not so bad. That's the upper level. It's going to cost you 35 for the upper and about 40 for the lower. Over to Los Angeles we go right now in our LA traffic. In West LA, there's a collision right now at La Cienega Boulevard by the on-ramp at the 405. We have a traffic collision also at the 110 at 190th Street in South LA. And there's a road closure on the 210 at Northtown Avenue in Baldwin Park. Well, America has been focused on the alleged kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. We still have to say alleged until they arrest a kidnapper. To bring us up on the latest is our good friend, News Nation's Elizabeth Pran, a journalist, a wife, a mom, a good darn friend of ours, and host of the Raising America podcast. Thanks you,
You
Elizabeth.
know, Ken, if I were a pilot, I would hold that airplane for you. I want to start that conversation with this. But I want to ask you a personal. First of all, I want to tread lightly on this. I never, ever want to be critical of law enforcement or the work that investigators are doing behind the scenes. But I will say that I go down a rabbit hole while watching the Olympics, eating popcorn, and I become a private investigator late at night, and I am drowning in conspiracy theories, right? Because we have a glove that just surfaced. We're looking at the video camera footage that's from the Nest surveillance. And I think as a consumer and as a mother, as someone who talks to folks in law enforcement, you know, we can catch a murderous dictator in the middle of the night in Venezuela, and he can come back unharmed with an uncrimped jumpsuit. And so you do have room for critics who say we are approaching 2 weeks with an 84-year-old woman who was apprehended from her home. Now, I will say a lot of folks are saying, wait a second, this is Tucson, Arizona. It's not rural. So we have surveillance cameras and we have CCTV around the city. A lot of that equipment is not necessarily equipped for facial recognition, but we're all looking at this footage, right? And then there was a suspect who was, like you said, who was initially apprehended and released, a DoorDash driver. So I think going forward, you do have folks who are going to start to be critical of the Pima County Sheriff's Department that say we just simply need more information. But they did say after they released that footage, they have upwards of almost 20,000 new tips. But that being said, Ken, you have to weed through a lot of these conspiracy theories and tips that aren't going to bring you information. And as I mentioned, I mean, this was February 1st. We are approaching 2 weeks.
Yeah. All you have to do is go on X, or as I like to call it, the X. Just go on the X, and you'll see so many people who've shown pictures. I don't even want to mention, because right away it suggests guilt. But there is a picture of somebody, let's just say, who is connected to the family, and they're showing a picture of that person side by side with the masked individual, and trying to say, look, it's the same eyes. Look, in my Italian family, I could show you 20 people with the same eyes. That doesn't mean that they, masked up and committed a murder. So we have to be very careful when we play armchair detective, right? And let these people do their jobs. But you're right. It makes you scratch your head and say, why wasn't the Ring doorbell video the first thing they looked at on day one? Why isn't somebody like Savannah Guthrie's mother, who's, she may not be a millionaire herself, but she's certainly not destitute in $1 million home in that neighborhood. Why did she not have a subscription to her cloud for that video? And why did they have to go through the hoops that they had to for? I mean, it's all these things. Maybe that's God's little way of telling us all, if you have your Ring camera, make sure your subscription to the cloud is good, so that you're recording that video in case somebody creepy comes to your door.
Well, and you had investigators say, as you mentioned, what a blessing they had access to that. For folks who don't know, she didn't have an active subscription. They had to go through the company Nest to get some of that footage, right? And so I think we're getting people who look at maybe the ransom note. So why did we get the ransom note, and why didn't we get the surveillance, or at least news of a ransom note? And why did we get the surveillance footage a little bit later? That was to clarify some of those details. They had to jump through some hoops to get that. Now, as far as the family speaking out, we do see Savannah coming out in these videos, and it is gut-wrenching. I mean, we're talking about essentially a defenseless woman when we talk about, remember, you and I have talked sandwich generation, so we feel like our youngest are very vulnerable and our oldest are very vulnerable. She had no defense. But people will also be critical as why did the media have access to the crime scene where we got some of the footage, the camera work of the blood that spattered on the floor, right? And then we're not getting a lot of information, the drip, drip, drip of the glove and the Nest. And I think that you have to think of what investigators are trying to work through here. And you mentioned the eyes and the photos that are coming out. You and I both know that it's very hard to distinguish what we see online, what is real and what is artificial intelligence. We could see videos all day long that are completely manufactured. And so they're dealing with that as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely. That is the case. But, what gets me about the gloves is, in this era of drones, you got to put up a drone and scour all that land without having to do the side-by-side search. As well as I do, that when police are searching an area, what they do is they line up 5 or 10 people in a row and you walk a straight line. That way you don't miss anything in that 50-foot span, and you could do whole fields looking for anything that may have fallen on the ground. Why wasn't that done immediately? Or why didn't they just use a drone to do that on day one? And that could have really sped everything up. See, the fact that we have the glove now, we might get DNA. Great, but now we might find out that the person is in Mexico already with Nancy Guthrie, and good luck trying to get her back.
Yeah, I mean, it's gut wrenching when you think of that. And you also think of the fact that she needed medication, that her pacemaker is not connecting with her phone. That really gives you a grim outlook. And you and I can look at the statistics and we could weed through them, chances of survival. And I think that's where we go really dark when we're talking about a defenseless woman. So we'll see if new information comes out today. I mean, there are reporters that are posted up over Tucson, Arizona, and we will get information. And hopefully we hear from the sheriff's office today where we can get some new details and any results from the glove that we found.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we got about a minute and a half left. Tell us what is on the latest Raising America podcast. BHA.
So I love this one. I actually just got back from Washington, D.C., because a lot of people are saying, what are Maha moms doing behind the scenes? So I followed one all day yesterday. We walked the street, the hills of the Capitol. We went down to HHS. We are talking BHA, which is a chemical compound that's found in most of the foods that we eat. But when I followed Zen Honeycutt, she's the founder of Moms Across America, she essentially said she did not only an investigative study into school meals, but also our military meals. And it turns out that they are littered with toxic chemicals, with aviarin contraceptives, with glyphosate. And we're feeding our military. This is 1.5 billion meals a year, not including MREs. So what she's essentially saying, if we want our bravest to be defending our freedoms, why aren't we feeding them better food? So she's lobbying members of Congress. We'll have all the behind scenes footage for you. It's coming up on our webpage today. So check it out, Ken.
There we go. And by the way, the whole BHA thing too was interesting because I know it's certified safe what do they call it? Almost safe or whatever by the government, because it's meant to be eaten in tiny doses in one food. And it's in ice cream, as you point out in your podcast. Yes, I look at your podcast. It's in ice cream and things like that. But the thing is that when they make it, they say it's okay in tiny doses. That's for the one food. When you eat 20 things a day and each contains a little bit of BHA, by the end of the day, you've eaten a pound of it. That's when it may not be a healthy thing for you. And that's why it's been banned in Europe.
It's been banned in Europe. It's in cereals. It's in frozen pizzas. It's in ice cream. It's a preservative, essentially. And they're all alternatives. That's what the critics will say. There are alternatives that we could eat that could be put in food. It was developed in the 60s, and it's been in our food system. But as you mentioned, it's been in more foods decade after decade. It's something that, you're right, we're not just eating a little bit of if we're grabbing those processed items, which we all are, even if we're healthy.
100%. Elizabeth, the good news is, though, I'm growing an 11th finger right now. So that was a good thing.
That is great dexterity.
I try. Journalist, wife, mom, good friend, and host of Raising America podcast. Look, I cannot stop the sun from creeping through the window. It's a good thing. Our dear friend, the News Nation. And I'll close it with that. News Nation's Elizabeth Cram. By the way, I should mention The Hill is part of the same organization. So I read The Hill all the time, too. Thank you for coming on this morning. We always appreciate you, Elizabeth. All right. It's 59 minutes past the hour. Those of you in California, please stay tuned for more news and information on LACA. If you're watching on the East Coast, stay tuned for On New Jersey Mornings. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in a minute.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Good morning. It's 8 a.m. Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato with the phone lines wide open, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So I make it no secret that I've spent this past few days in Fort Lauderdale. That's why the sun is creeping through. We have blackout blinds over here, but there's this little space between two of them. And it's amazing the intensity of the sun in South Florida it's almost like having a laser beam on your face.
Oh,
Just this
rub
little
it
tiny,
in, Ken. Rub
you
it
know, it's
in
so
as we're like,
here, I'm gonna get my tanning thing right now. Let me get my tan on. There we go. Got it right
all right,
there. So you
we go
guys go
chase
ahead.
those lasers. We're just looking for some warm weather around here. We're actually trying to get above freezing this morning, which is, not terribly of a hard feat, especially when we're already at 29 in Newark and 30 in Hackensack. Morristown has warmed up to a 32, but you factor in that little bit of a breeze and we're back down feeling like the low 20s. Throughout the day, it will be breezy, just like yesterday. You were able to tolerate the cold, but it was the wind that just made it feel so much worse. So with those wind gusts anywhere from 22 and 23 miles per hour this morning, yes, it feels a little gustier, even though the temperatures are about where they were this time yesterday. Have some thin clouds around, most of them down the shore and across southern New Jersey, but as the sun breaks out in between the clouds today, we'll gradually break out into some more clear sky, helping temperatures warm above the freezing mark at all the Audio Nova Clinic locations from north to south, Bergen County, right down through Ocean. Our forecast brings back the clear sky through this afternoon, and with that, temperatures climbing just above the freezing mark. But later tonight, we're back down in the teens with the clear sky. Tomorrow morning is bright and beautiful, but notice, after a sunny day, we have some clouds and a few snow flurries return for Friday night. This is overnight into early Saturday morning. Could put down a quick coating by the early morning hours, at, just enough to kind of leave a little powdery coating on the car tops. And then we're back to some clouds by most of the day on Saturday. Sunday morning is cold and dry, but it's not going to last long because with our wind shifting and thanks to a system that really rides just south of New Jersey, I think we'll be looking forward to some milder weather ahead that takes us into very nice territory next week. So even though we're hovering just around the 40-degree mark every day as highs this week go, next week we'll be pushing the 50s. It'll be great. We'll tell you all about that coming up with the check of your weekend forecast, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right, we appreciate that, and we appreciate you, sir. It is a balmy 31 degrees right now in lovely Trenton. It is 34 degrees northern New Jersey. We look down at Cape May, and it is 34 degrees there, and it's 32 degrees now as we go over to Plymouth. So there you have it. Even though we're not on in California right now on this channel, but it's 51 in Los Angeles, just so you know, something to look out for. We should mention on 676, we have a crash reported. It is northbound south of exit 4, Atlantic Avenue, Camden. 2 left lanes of the 3 lanes closed. Look at the mess we have on your screen right now. That's an absolute mess. We have road treatment going on in progress in the Atlantic City Expressway, both directions from Atlantic City Convention Center, eastern terminus in Atlantic City, to the western terminus, Route 42, Washington Township. All lanes are open, but please use caution. We have a disabled vehicle on the New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension, westbound at interchange 14, I-78 Newark by exit lane 15 blocked. And we have a problem over at JFK. Their blue terminal lot is totally full. So if you wanted to drive to JFK to catch a flight, you are SOL. You can't park in that lot. Make sure you have reserved parking. Your crossings of the Hudson River. Lincoln and Holland both reporting 25 to 30. GWB right now is pretty heavy, upper and lower levels. Excuse the sun on the face there, folks. Upper and lower levels. You can see the lower level on the left is bumper to bumper. Upper looks clear, but just outside that camera is where it starts to get heavy. So upper is going to cost you about 35. Lower is going to cost you about 40. It is 8:05. Newark's far-left Democrat Congresswoman LaMonica McIver triggered widespread outrage after a heated exchange with ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons during a House hearing Tuesday. Listen to the questions that she asked Director Lyons.
Let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer. Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh,
ma'am.
okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government
The gentlelady will
agencies-
suspend. The
how many-
gentlelady will suspend.
It's amazing because, first of all, LaMonica McIver is a good Protestant. Protestants don't believe in Judgment Day like that. It's different. Protestants say if you accept Jesus, you are saved. It's different from Catholics. I don't know if he's Catholic or not, but I know that she's not. So, by the way, LaMonica, you might want to research the way your faith is written. Your faith says that you don't question him because you assume if he accepts Jesus, he's saved. So don't worry about Judgment Day. You worry about your own judgment because LaMonica McIver, by the way, she's still charged with federal felonies. I would worry about your own sins, LaMonica, just saying. McIver's questions quickly went viral, likely her goal. She wanted that, drawing sharp criticism both from Republicans and Democrats alike, who accused her of crossing a line. She did. McIver remains federally charged, as I mentioned, with a felony for allegedly forcibly impeding and interfering with federal officers during that 2025 incident in Newark. It is 8:07. The new Portal North Bridge connecting Kearney and Secaucus across the Hackensack River in the Meadowlands is nearing completion, but before it could be used, there must be an entire month of rail service changes. New Jersey Transit and Amtrak riders should expect schedule adjustments and possible delays. The project replaces a century-old bridge that has caused major bottlenecks, but look at the bright side. Once that bridge is in operation, breakdown-related disruptions there will be a thing of the past. It is 8:07. A measles case was confirmed at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in New Brunswick. Health officials warn that people may have been exposed on specific dates. The measles is a highly contagious disease. Yes, it sounds like it should say, it should be it's a thing, the measles. It spreads through airborne respiratory droplets. Getting a vaccine before exposure is the best way to prevent infection. So make sure your vaccine is current and that your kids have them. If you were at R.W. Johnson Hospital's Pediatric Emergency Department on February 6th or 7th, you may have been exposed. You are urged to stay home, monitor yourself for symptoms, which could occur as late as February 28th. New Jersey homeowners continue to face some of the highest property taxes in the nation. Officials blame local school funding and rising municipal costs. New Jersey, we remind you, is run entirely by Democrats with a Democrat governor, Democrat Assembly, Democrat Senate, Democrat Supreme Court. Both U.S. senators are Democrats. 9 of the 12 congressional seats are Democrats. Mayors in the 15 largest cities are Democrats. Out of control spending is the obvious culprit as wealthier taxpayers continue to move out of the state. So the tax base goes down, but the Democrats who control the state keep spending more. In contrast, Florida, which is 2.5 times the population of New Jersey and run by Republicans, is talking about eliminating property taxes altogether. So how could Florida, a bigger state, eliminate property taxes, yet still have all the programs and all the public things like police and fire and ambulance and hospitals and good schools that New Jersey claims to have, but yet they're eliminating property taxes while New Jersey's hiking them? You don't have to live like this, folks. Stop voting the way you vote. Think about it. 8:09, New Jersey's recent bitter cold temperatures appear to be to blame for at least 20 deaths. Many of the deaths were tied to crashes, falls, or medical emergencies worsened by the cold and snow. Just a reminder, exercise extreme caution in severe weather conditions. If you are older, let somebody younger shovel your snow. Amazon has been issued a so-called WARN notice affecting their facility in Teterboro. That means the job cuts are on the way. The notice is required when large layoffs or closures are planned. Local officials are monitoring the possible economic impact on workers and the community. 4 people found dead after a shooting in Sarasota, Florida, Tuesday. Just past noon, deputies responded to a call where the shooting victims were found. They believe the shooter was among the dead. Now police are looking into the possibility that the shooter, a man they have not identified yet, that man may have shot a woman in Fort Lauderdale, then drove 250 miles across the state to Sarasota to shoot the other people, and then shot himself. So there would have been 1 death in Fort Lauderdale and then a total of 4, himself and the other 3 in Sarasota. Investigators say there were several prior incidents reported from that same Sarasota address. The investigation is continuing. Horrible story. Marijuana use has skyrocketed over the last decade, with many states granting legalization to cash in on sales taxes. So how'd that work out? After years of being told marijuana is not addictive, it's practically good for you, millions now find themselves addicted, smoking several times a day, and doctors are diagnosing what they call marijuana-induced schizophrenia more than ever before. It is more powerful than it used to be in the 60s and 70s, folks. It is now not good for you. Colorado reports highway deaths due to stoned driving are through the roof, and tax revenues in California are really bad, with many licensed cannabis retailers demanding a bailout from the state for not enforcing drug laws. So, see, here's what's happening. It seems you buy a nickel bag on the street way cheaper than going to a dispensary. So, all those fancy licensed dispensaries, they're going bankrupt. And when the dispensaries close, the state doesn't collect taxes. So, you see, the whole idea of legalizing it with the dispensaries fell flat. Add to that the fact that states really don't actually have the right to legalize any drug. That's what the DEA is for. And you have a lot of lawmakers wondering if this whole adventure was a good idea to begin with. Look, it was clearly wrong to toss poor kids from inner cities in jail for years because they were caught with a little joint. That was stupid. All right. That was wrong. But you could modify that. Instead, you make everything legal, just go the other direction. And what you have is a third of all Americans hooked on pot now, walking around stoned, and you smell that armpit stench in the street everywhere you go. Not a good idea. Valentine's Day spending is expected to reach record levels this year. Lovers of all ages have shared plans to spend on gifts, including flowers and dining this year. Many say they are giving personalized experiences as gifts. The holiday continues to be a major economic boon for retailers. And Mountain Creek Resort in Vernon announced that it'll celebrate President Lincoln's 217th today with a fun challenge for guests. If you could successfully recite the famous Gettysburg Address, you'll get a free lift ticket. 7 years ago. Remember that? Yeah, it's kind of cool. And it's a beautiful place. Go over to Vernon Valley. Participants must recite the address without the help of headphones, AirPods, and the like. It's just you, yourself, and you. There you go. It is coming up at 8:13 right now. And when we come back, we have a lot more Valentine's Day upon us. Romance is in the air. We'll explain it.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. It's 8:15, partly cloudy today, a little windy, highs mid-30s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast for you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So I know I shouldn't rely on this, but there's a little logo on my computer that says Trenton is 31, but then it gives this little lightning bolt. What's that about? Is that a mistake?
Yeah, it is. And it's that Trenton weather station. Remember it said that like just a few weeks ago? It had this odd, very misinformed weather icon. This is what happens when you listen to the apps because they're full, ridden with errors. But anyway,
I will
um,
listen to you, sir.
I see a doctor in the corner. It's like when you go to WebMD, type in your symptoms and it says not a great outcome, right? When probably it's nothing. So, we'll leave it at that.
I've learned.
Anyway, we've got some great weather ahead, right? We've got some beautiful weather to look ahead to. So much clear sky after the little bit of cloud cover that is around this morning. We'll break out into some clear sky as temperatures go. Most of the central and southern part of the state still has the overcast now, which is why it's a little bit slower to warm. But we'll eventually make it up beyond the 40-degree mark in some parts today. Notice the southwesterly breeze turns us a little bit milder into this weekend. You may not know it with that wind chill, though, right down around 0 on either side of 0, starting off tomorrow morning. But then Saturday warms up a little bit. We'll actually feel like kind of like this morning, back up into the low 20s and teens. Sunday, another chilly start, but even by the afternoon with the wind chills only around freezing, that lets you know that we are on the right trend and bringing our temperatures back closer to where they should be, around 40 or better. With a little bit of the snow flurry activity staying off to our north today, we could tap into some late snow flurries later tomorrow night into Saturday morning. And you see that here on the Futurecast, a lot of this energy coming in from Canada, giving us a light round of a quick accumulation, maybe a coating on the car tops, waking up on Saturday morning. And that really goes statewide, bringing back the sun by Saturday afternoon. And with temperatures that are still hovering just below average, we actually get back into the 40s by Monday and Tuesday. There's that system that stays well off to our south, probably only impacting Cape May. And then beyond that, into next week, the warming trend continues. So for this weekend, highs, not too shabby. Low 40s, upper 30s, we'll take it, specifically without any threat of snow or rain. The 7-day looks even better. Can't wait to show you that, Ken. It's coming up in a few minutes.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. We appreciate you, Mike. And by the way, I'm going to throw out my iPad because of the little lightning bolts. I will never, ever, ever look at the app again. I promise, sir. Ever.
Oh, it's Apple.
All right,
That's
we'll
the worst.
we will check back with you, Mike. But I will tell you, it is 31 degrees in Trenton. That is apparently accurate. So I've checked in 3 sources. Thank you, Mike. It is 34 degrees northern New Jersey, 33 degrees now in Cape May, and 32 degrees in Vineland. We look at the traffic, the report right now. We have a disabled vehicle reported on the New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension, westbound by interchange 14 I-78 Newark. Exit lane 15 is blocked. And now over to 676 we go. We have an issue right now as we head toward Philadelphia. You can see that there is one lane blocked. It's the left lane blocked, and that is in the area of exit 3. So just beware as you're heading toward Philadelphia, 676 in central New Jersey. Just beware of that incident, that accident to talk about. We have road treatment going on in progress on the Atlantic City Expressway, and that's all the way both directions from the Convention Center to the western terminus, Route 42 in Washington Township. All lanes are open. Please use caution, though, through there. JFK reporting that Terminal 4 parking 100% full. So if you're driving to the airport and you need to park, make sure that you have reserved parking, or else you might show up and then not be able to park your car. You'll miss your flight. Don't want to do that. Look at the Hudson River crossings right now. Lincoln and Holland both reporting 25 minutes in. GWB upper and lower levels. The lower level pretty good right now. You can see it opened up. Before it was fairly heavy. Upper level's a little slower. Upper level is going to cost you 35 in. It's 25 to 30 on the lower level. It is 8/19 and Valentine's Day is this Saturday. See, we reminded you. Romance is in the air, but so are the scams. AARP says millions of Americans age 50 and older have formed what they believed were genuine online connections, only to be asked for money or steered into fake investments. Chris Widello is the AARP New Jersey State Director. He's here now with more. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you on this morning.
Good morning, Ken. Good to see you.
You bet. Hey, listen, talk about, please, some of these romance scams and why the scammers love to go after the 50-plus crowd.
Yeah, it's really scary when you think about it, because we know that 1 in 10 older adults, 50 and older, that's really 11 million Americans are, they have engaged in what they believe is a romantic online connection. It's usually perpetrated online, and it ultimately leads to some type of ask for financial help or investment in cryptocurrency or some way to separate that person from their money. And it is, it's happening, at higher rates for people who are 50 to 64 than any other demographic. And, a lot of it is people are seeking social connection. They're seeking companionship. They're seeking love. And so they have this relationship. Again, often it's happening online. They're not actually meeting this person, and, they're being strung along until, they've built this connection and then feel obligated in some way to help this person out financially who's really not there for them. They're simply just scamming them.
So, Chris, how are they making the initial contact? Is it with social media sites like Facebook and things like that?
Yeah, I think it can happen in so many ways, especially with the online landscape, right? It can happen through, Facebook and Instagram, where you can reach out to people. There's certainly dating apps, and you really just don't know who's on the other end. But often we see a trend of where this relationship is built over time online. You get to know somebody, you think you know them, and even though there are plans to meet, you never meet the person, or they get canceled. There's some type of obstacle to them being face to face. And then comes an ask, right? And it's usually sometimes coupled with some type of tragedy or something critical that's happening, and they need this help. And because they've established this connection with that scammer, who they think is interested in them romantically or in some, in some deep connection, they feel like they need to help this person out. And then they sometimes feel ashamed and don't report it.
And when you talk, I was just going to ask you about that. They don't report the crimes because they don't want their family and friends to find out, or they feel that what they did was a stupid thing and they should have known better. But it's innocent, right? You definitely want to report something like that, whether they could find the money and find the individual or not. At least others will be informed that it's going on right now, right? So that you know to be aware of it. Second, you hear money, should that be the oops, sorry, delete? Should that be the end of it?
Yeah, it really, there should be some warning signs. And I think, when you look at 55% of those who were, who lost money in this type of scam don't report it because they do feel embarrassed, and they shouldn't be. This is a crime, and we have to remember it, and we have to break down the stigmatism that somehow they have been fooled. They were, it would be no different if they were, approached on the street and their money was stolen. These scammers are smart. They go through a lot of steps to build this trust, and they know that the end game is that they're going to take this money from someone. So we have to make sure that people are alert and aware of what are the signs, making sure that, if money comes up, I mean, how well do they really know this person? Have they ever met them, right? Like, what is the nature of their relationship? But, also talking with friends and family and getting their opinion, sometimes, just having another ear to say, does this sound right? It goes a long way to preventing this serious crime.
Yeah, along those lines, I spend part of the year, in fact, right this minute, I happen to be in Fort Lauderdale. I go back and forth between New Jersey and South Florida. And for the holidays, I bought a number of gift cards at a local Publix supermarket, common in South Florida. And when I went to the register with these 10 gift cards, they pulled out a list and they said, do you know whom these are purchased for? Did anybody ask you to purchase these? I was very impressed by that. At first, there's one side of the brain saying that's very invasive, and the other side, no, they're addressing a real problem because there are a lot of seniors, retirees in Florida, and so they're asking the questions across the board. And at first, I thought, hey, I don't want to answer these questions. And then I realized, no, this is great that they're asking these questions. And once I explained, this is from my mother, this is from my brothers, I was buying gift cards because I was 1,200 miles away from everybody. But are more stores doing this? Have you heard of more stores doing this with folks?
Yeah, there's been such an uptick with using non-traceable ways to scam people, right? Asking people to buy cryptocurrency or other scams that involve gift cards that I think many stores, especially the chain stores, are trying to do their part in bringing greater awareness to, hey, it just seems off, right? In your case, you had a perfectly good use, but maybe that person says, well, no, I'm paying my taxes to the IRS through a gift card. That would be a red flag that person, that associate at the store would say, you know, you don't pay your taxes to the IRS through gift cards. It's right. So I think it's just it's a nice, you know, courtesy that they're providing. But yes, we are seeing, because this is happening so regularly, we are seeing an increase in that kind of awareness.
Yeah, even if it makes 5% of the people stop and think and realize that's 5% of people you've saved. And could you talk about the AARP Fraud Watch Network? This is fascinating.
Yeah, thanks for asking about that. The AARP Fraud Watch Network's been around for some time now, and what it is we have trained volunteers that are able to do some light counseling and help give direction for what you should do if you are involved in a scam. So if you feel that you've been a victim of some type of fraud, whether it's a romance type scam or something else, right? There is a sympathetic ear that can talk to you about what your next steps are and what you need to be doing. And that's live counseling that you can speak to somebody one-on-one. And but also we have a website that updates people as to what the latest scams are. These scams evolve constantly, nonstop, right? These scammers are trying to stay one step ahead of everybody else. I mean, 5 years ago, you never heard about a cryptocurrency scam. Now it is one of the biggest emerging scams out there. And so we want to make sure our members in the public, you don't have to be an AARP member, are able to access resources to protect themselves. And then also what you do if you happen to find yourself in that unfortunate situation of being a victim. And so it's a great resource.
I'm sorry, Chris, only because we're down to the last 30 seconds. I'm an 8-year member. I love my AARP. Give everybody your website address, please.
Sure. It's aarp.org/NJ. And if you're interested in the Fraud Watch Network, you can just go to fraudwatchnetwork.com.
Absolutely. And by the way, The Power of Us, great show. My friend Pam, our director, and I were just talking about it. So got to always check that out here on New Jersey. AARP New Jersey State Director Chris Widello. It was great having you on. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Ken. Take care.
You too. And when we come back, do you suffer from knee pain? You're going to want to watch our next segment, so don't go away. This is on New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 2.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Good morning. It's 8:30, Thursday, February 12th. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all.
Let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer.
All right. Well,
I could ask. I could answer those questions.
oh, we'll say the audio. This is brought to you by Audio Nova, our good
Yes,
friends at Audio Nova, who have been very
that's right.
kind to us. So we want to make sure we get their name properly said out there. So, Mike, the forecast is actually looking decent. It's looking seasonal. I love that.
Hmm. It's going to feel great by next week. I think we're done with the harshest of the cold. That was last week. Now we're starting off with nice clear sky across New Jersey with that nice and dry weather around. Nothing more than a few thin clouds across central and southern New Jersey, but the northeastern part of the state stays nice and clear today. So with the limited sunshine down the shore and a rather overcast start, we kind of delay our warming. Probably only make it up into the mid 30s. Normally we should be at 43 degrees, but what has been normal about this winter, even with all of that dense snowpack that's still around? You notice the sun is rising nice and early before 7 a.m. now, with the sunset happening later and later, closer to 5:30. As a few flurries try and make their way through the Northeast, they don't arrive here into New Jersey until we get to later tomorrow night into early Saturday morning. You see them pop up here on the Futurecast, coming in with a little bit of energy, likely give us a quick coating by Saturday morning. By the afternoon Saturday, we're back to sunshine, setting the stage for a beautiful Sunday. With it, I think we'll stay nice and dry until a little bit of a rain tries to make it across southern New Jersey, maybe making it no further north than Atlantic City, for instance, by Monday morning. So, with the milder weather that's on the way, we enjoy the 40s on Saturday, only starting off each morning down in the 20s, but again, making a run for 50 by the end of next week. It is a mild trend that takes over and lasts at least for the next several weeks. Sunday, a little bit of that rain potentially down the shore only later Sunday evening. And even for you, by Wednesday, starting to climb out of the low 40s into the mid 40s. And yeah, I think we could see some 50s on the way in just about 10 days' time. So we are on the right track, Ken.
All right, sir. We like that track. I'll stay on that track with you, brother. Thank you very much. Temperature 31 degrees in Newark. It is 31 degrees in Trenton as well. It is 34 degrees right now in Morris County, 33 degrees in Cape May at 8:33. Take a look at our traffic. We have road treatment going on. It's in progress on the Atlantic City Expressway from Washington Township all the way to the Convention Center. Just look out for the trucks doing their work. Try to get out of their way. We have a crash with injuries. I-78 local lanes eastbound west of exit 56, Elizabeth Avenue in Newark. You can see the slowdown right there. 2 left lanes of the 3 lanes closed. Give yourselves extra travel time. We have parking related issues at JFK. So if you're driving from New Jersey to JFK to catch an international flight, for instance, Terminal 4, which is the big international terminal, their parking lot, long-term parking, is 100% full. So you're going to need to have a reserved parking space. The other airports, LaGuardia and Newark, are fine. They have plenty of parking, but just be careful if you're driving all the way from New Jersey to JFK. You're going to want to make sure you have a parking space reserved. We have a disabled vehicle on the New Jersey Turnpike Hudson County Extension westbound at interchange 14 I-78 Newark. Exit lane 15 is blocked through there. The Hudson River crossings right now, both the Holland and the Lincoln tunnels are reporting 25 minutes. GWB upper and lower level is cleared up quite a bit. You can see the lower level on the left is moving fairly well. It's only going to be 25 minutes in. It's about 25 to 30 on the upper level, which is the what you see on the right. Hopefully somebody can get up there and clean that schmutzy, dirty, salt-covered, encrusted lens that we look at every day. Oh, the whining from me. I'll stop. It is 8:34 for millions of people, myself included, folks, living with knee osteoarthritis, living with chronic pain is awful. I speak from experience. Medications and injections, massages, joint replacement, chiropractic, some physical therapy, perhaps. Well, it's all been the norm for folks like us. But now there's a new minimally invasive procedure offering hope to patients who aren't ready for surgery or maybe can't have it for other reasons. Rutgers Health and University Hospital in Newark are among the first academic medical centers in our region to offer genicular artery embolization, or GAE. Write that down, GAE, to reduce inflammation and relieve knee pain, all without surgery. Dr. Abhishek Kumar is Chief of Interventional Radiology at Rutgers Health and University Hospital. Sign me up, Doc. Good morning and welcome, Dr. Kumar. It's good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. I am literally, I have to my right a knee brace. My right knee is swollen like a balloon. My patella is loaded with arthritis. I'm a mess. Describe GAE and how it can help relieve chronic knee pain for folks like me.
Yeah, so GAE or genicular artery embolization, as you said, is a minimally invasive procedure. It's not surgery, it's a procedure we do under x-ray guidance. And rather than replacing the joint itself, what we do is target the blood vessels that cause inflammation in the joint. So when you develop arthritis over years, what happens is the blood vessels around the knee grow. So you can sort of imagine branches of a tree sort of growing out of control. And these new blood vessels is what the body uses to send the molecules to cause stiffness, swelling, pain. And what we're doing is just trimming these branches by injecting some tiny beads so we can reverse that process. We do this as an outpatient procedure. You come in either to a office-based surgery center or the outpatient department of the hospital. We put you on an x-ray table, we numb up your thigh, we put a tiny catheter in the vessel under x-ray guidance, about a width of a spaghetti noodle. We inject some dye, take a look at these new vessels that have formed, and then we inject these beads to sort of quiet down that inflammation. Procedure takes about 45 minutes and you're home in a couple hours.
I love it. I love it. What about the I have AFib, so I have to take Eliquis. For those who take blood thinners, Coumadin, Eliquis, Xarelto, etc. Does that impact that at all? Does does that make us not a candidate?
Not at all. I think since the incision is so small, the profile of the catheter is, as I said, a width of a spaghetti noodle. It's very safe in patients, who are on anticoagulation. Occasionally, for certain patients, if they have a large body habitus, we may have them stop the anticoagulation for a day prior to the procedure, but they can resume it the day after.
Right. I just wasn't sure if someone who takes a blood thinner on an ongoing basis, if that defeats the purpose, because I know that in my case, they went to, and I'm sorry to make it all about me here. They went to drain some of the fluid from my knee. And every time they went in there, they were pulling out 100 cc's of blood. And then they realized, well, you're going to have to get off blood thinners for a little bit to let whatever it is in there heal. So I'm just thinking, whatever impact it might have on your procedure, if it might be something that somebody on blood thinners might have to talk to whoever prescribed the blood thinners to make sure that
right.
the two
right.
are
So,
not.
it's always a good idea before you stop any blood thinner to speak with your doctor who's prescribed it. People have blood thinners for different reasons.
Right.
However, being in a blood thinner does not change the efficacy of our procedure. So these vessels we're targeting are tiny. They're, fine and, a few millimeters in size. Once we block them, being in a blood thinner is not going to be able to open them up. So once we block them, they're going to stay blocked for quite a while.
I love it. Now, what about somebody though who's like bone on bone, or who, their meniscus is torn or whatever? Are those circumstances kind of out of the picture, or can this also help people like that?
So it can certainly help people like that. What it is, this procedure is not a sort of alternative to knee replacement. So, it doesn't grow back your cartilage. It's not going to, replace your joint. But what it can do is sort of serve as a bridge. So, I see patients with bone-on-bone arthritis who are just not quite ready for a knee replacement yet. And this procedure just sort of buys them time. It could give them a couple of years before they're ready for a knee replacement. Oftentimes there are patients who have that severe arthritis, but they may just not be a candidate for knee replacement, maybe because some other comorbidities they may have. In those patients, this offers some pain relief and functionality.
And hey, if you get 5% pain relief, it's something, right? As long as you end up a little bit better than before, you're in good shape. That's a great thing. And this is performed by interventional radiologists. For those who don't know what that is, explain what an interventional radiologist is.
Yeah, so it's performed by interventional radiologists. So interventional radiologists such as myself are basically endovascular surgeons. What we do is perform procedures throughout the body using imaging guidance, and that's where the radiology comes into play. So we use ultrasound, we use x-ray, wherever the blood vessels go, we can go there. So, through a tiny pinhole in your wrist or in your thigh, we can enter the blood vessels that go in the body. With that, we can go up to the lungs to take out clot. We can go to the liver and treat cancer. We can open up blocked arteries in the leg.
That's amazing. Because I've had my heart. What do they call it when they take a look at your heart going through your groin area? I forget what that's called, but
Coronary
the
intervention.
cardiac. Yes,
Cardiac cath.
so I've had that twice. I've had that twice, and it's just amazing. You feel nothing. You feel nothing, and it's amazing that they don't have to cut you open to look. It's a lot better. What does recovery look like, Dr. Kumar?
So recovery, I basically tell my patients, take it easy for the next 24 hours. What that means is, stay at home, no exercise, no heavy lifting. But usually everybody is able to get back to normal activity within 24 hours. Again, it's an outpatient procedure, so you're not being admitted to the hospital. You're leaving the our outpatient center with literally a Band-Aid, which can be taken off in 24 hours. So very minimal recovery when you compare it, obviously, to more invasive surgeries.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And when do they start feeling the relief? Is it fairly quickly, or does it take a few days for the relief to start to kick in?
All our clinical studies say to assess the relief in about 2 to 4 weeks. But I'll tell you, there are patients I see who, in a couple of days start feeling relief. So it does take a couple of days, but, as the inflammation calms down, you should start feeling relief. Another important point is that the relief tends to get better as time goes on, as your body starts getting used to sort of, less inflammation there, improved functionality, being able to sort of climb upstairs. Patients report that the quality of life has actually gotten better as time goes on.
Amazing. Doc, what's a website for more information?
You can go to Rutgers Health and just search genicular artery embolization. You'll find me on there, and there's plenty of information. There's a Society of Interventional Radiology. They have tons of information on minimally invasive therapies that we offer, including genicular artery embolization.
I love it. It is called genicular artery embolization, GAE. Dr. Abhishek Kumar, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. And we're
Thank
coming
you for
right
having
back. You bet.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday, 8:45. Partly cloudy today, a little windy, highs mid-30s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast for you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, I'm tapping the thermometer. It's been 31 degrees for 2.5 hours. What's that about?
It's kind of stuck. Well, we have this pretty persistent wind that is keeping temperatures uniform across the state. But the good news is we all warm up in this collective union over the next several weeks, right through the end of the month. The rest of the month of February expected to be above average in terms of temperature, and that will lead to this nice milder trend that takes over for most of the eastern half of the country. So really good news if you're just sick of looking at the snow. It's becoming more of a nuisance now with the melting and refreezing cycle each and every day. This afternoon, again, we're back up above the freezing mark, but tonight we drop down below freezing, giving us another round of black ice to start off our commute tomorrow morning. The 7-day forecast has a milder trend that takes over. The thaw refreeze cycle happens right through this weekend, but into next week, look what happens by Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. We will stay above freezing even at night with another chance of rain coming in by the middle of next week. So this warming trend will allow for some very pleasant melting that takes over even into this weekend, with a better chance of seeing some rain south of Atlantic City on Sunday. I think by Monday and Tuesday, warming into the mid-40s, sunshine. It'll feel like springtime around here. And before you know it, those daffodils will be blooming, Ken. It's just a matter of days.
All right, days. I'm counting. I have a day's countdown clock, Mike. So we'll see. Enjoy your weekend, sir. We'll see you on Monday. Thank you. 31 degrees right now in Trenton, 34 degrees, northern New Jersey, 32 degrees in down at Cape May. Wow, 32. Cape May is so beautiful, by the way. Winter and summer. You got to check it out. We look at some of the traffic in the area right now. If we go over to I-78, we have a crash with injuries. I-78 local lanes eastbound west of exit 56, Elizabeth Avenue, Newark. The right lane of 2 lanes closed. That's causing what you see on your screen right now. Down to Atlantic City, there is road treatment going on. It's in progress on the Atlantic City Expressway because of a lot of ice. So they're treating it with brine left and right, east and west, both directions from the Atlantic City Convention Center eastern terminus in Atlantic City to the western terminus, Route 42 in Washington Township. So that's east to west, the entire length of the Atlantic City Expressway. Just beware of the trucks doing their work there. We have a disabled vehicle now on the New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension westbound by interchange 14, I-78 Newark. Specifically, exit lane 15 is blocked. That's causing a little backup. Not a major problem, though. The Hudson River crossings, the Lincoln Tunnel's 35 minutes in. The Holland Tunnel, is 25 minutes in. I will get it, Pam, our director. I will get the name. It's only been 58 years. I'll get the name. GWB upper and lower levels. We take a look right now. 8095 approach. Making your way to Manhattan wide open at that point. So usually if traffic is fairly clear from that point on, so now behind you is New York. In front of you is New Jersey. That means that right there, you got about a 25 to 30 minute crossover time. So it all depends on how bad the traffic is behind the camera. But right now we're told 25 to 30. 8:48 is our time. Food, community, and compassion are coming together for a powerful cause this spring. The Ashley Lauren Foundation is hosting its 4th annual Chefs Who Care event on April 14th at Addison Park in Aberdeen, bringing together more than 40 of the top chefs from throughout the region, New York, New Jersey, for a night of tastings, cocktails, live entertainment, and an awesome auction. Eric Vitale and Gennaro Pecchia are co-chairs of Chefs Who Care 2026. We say good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Good to have you on. I just want to make sure you go by Vitale. Which one?
Vitale.
I want to make sure. I don't want to, because there are a million ways we could do it. A fellow Rosato over here. I want to make sure we got it right. I know Pecchia. Pecchia is Pecchia. I'm sure your whole life you got, is it Picchia? Is it Pecchia? No, it's Pecchia. It's Pecchia. Often. All right. You got a Pecchia friendship here. Let's start with Eric. What is the Ashley Lauren Foundation and the mission behind this great group, Chefs Who Care?
Ken, thank you so much for this opportunity this morning. The Ashley Lauren Foundation was founded by my mother, Monica Vermeulen, back in July of 2005. And the mission of the foundation is to bring hope and help to children suffering from cancer throughout the entire state of New Jersey. Our goal is to basically keep people in their homes. We provide direct financial assistance for all of these families. This journey is one of the most difficult any family will ever face. So we basically help to pay rents and mortgages, pay utility bills, pay medical bills, medications. We do gas cards because often the children from New Jersey are going to Memorial Sloan Kettering and CHOP in Philadelphia for treatments. We will also supply furniture. We will supply pools and playgrounds for children who are immunocompromised and can't go to a public playground. Anything and everything that these families need is what we try to provide for them.
It's a beautiful thing. And Gennaro, this is now the 4th year of the event. How is Chefs Who Care growing? And by the way, I must say, anytime I've ever met a chef and we talk about a charity, chefs, no matter how many hours a day they work, they always jump and say, I'm there. It's amazing. There's something compassionate because I think just by their nature, right? Chefs care for people. You cook with love, etc. They just want to help. And so Chefs Who Care has really grown into this.
Ken, that's a great segue because, as you know, you love to cook at home and you love to take care of yourself and others around you. So same thing with chefs, right? So Eric and I on a daily basis, what's what we do? We spotlight and feature chefs. Eric through Eric Vitale Photography. He's a wonderful food photographer. And I do my thing through my social media outlets. So when Eric reached out to me one time and said, hey, you know what? We need some chefs to take care of some of the families in New York City. I reached out to some chefs and they were more than willing to help out. So we started that way. And then, you know, when I heard Eric's mom's story of Monica about what she does, you know, she's helping over 100 families at one time in New Jersey without any support from government or anyone. I said, I have to step in because I know so many chefs. I'm kind of like a chef whisperer. So anything I ask them, they'll be like, you know, they step up. And like you said, they are the first ones on the front line, whether it be hurricane, disaster, people in need, people that are hungry, people, you know, that are homeless. The chefs never say no. No matter how hard it is to run their businesses, they always step out of, you know, off the line to get in front of the line to help others. So that's how we kind of started this thing. And it's expanded greatly because the foundation was 20 years old last year. We honored one of your favorite friends, the queen of Italian food, Lydia Bastianich. So that was big last year. So that's how we kind of got this thing
Lydia is a
rolling.
friend. She's a great lady, great lady, and beautiful too. She, but we should mention, by the way, Eric. You know what your friend's name translates as over there? January B. That's it. I'm sure Gennaro knows it. It's January B. So you're a January B, Gennaro. Just so you know.
Thank you, Ken. I love you too.
I say it with love. Eric, over 40 chefs. Now we just had Gennaro talk about the fact that chefs, he's the chef whisperer. The chef whisperer there has over 40 chefs participating. This is unbelievable. Chefs love to get together and do this for a good cause. So what's the response been? What kind of reaction have you gotten when you talk to these people?
It's incredible. Gennaro, my dear friend, he is the chef whisperer. You ask anyone, everyone knows Gennaro in this. Everybody you speak to, like, oh, Gennaro. Oh, of course I know Gennaro. You know, everyone knows Gennaro. So I've been photographing a number of these tasting events for many years here in New York City, and I'm very privileged to work with a number of phenomenal chefs here. And I came up with this idea, and I was just like, Gennaro. I called him up. I was like, Gennaro, what do you think? Should we try to get all of our colleagues together? And you know, we're looking for a way to support the foundation. And he was like, yes. And he came up with Chefs Who Care. He came up with the name, and they are the first people to step up. We started our first year with 15 chefs, and now it's grown to 40 in our 4th year. So we're quite humbled and honored that all of these chefs are participating, and they're coming and they're donating. They're giving their time and their art and their resources. But we are very privileged to have D'Artagnan and Fortune Fish as our primary sponsor of this event. D'Artagnan has been supplying gourmet meats for Michelin star restaurants since the 1980s, and so they have gone above and beyond for us. They are supplying our chefs with all of their protein. So it's going to be a world-class event again. And this year we're honoring Ariane Deguan, who is the founder of D'Artagnan. So we are very privileged to have her as our culinary honoree for 2026. And we've had a great response from the community. Addison Park has been wonderful to us. We have a number of great sponsors like Odysseus Caviar, Jacques Torres Chocolate, And so all of them are coming out and supporting us, and we're quite humbled and honored by it.
That's amazing. I remember about 30 years ago when D'Artagnan first opened up in New Jersey, how excited
Yeah.
I was because you couldn't get, goose liver. You couldn't get, unless you were a
Right,
restaurant, you had no access to this.
Yeah.
It was just like amazing. So it was so cool. Gennaro, give us a preview of what folks can expect at the event that night.
It's pretty incredible, Ken. Like I said, Erica was mentioning, do not eat breakfast or lunch because it's 40 chefs. It's a big tasting. It's basically a chef party. Look at it that way. And then you're just invited. And, the patrons are so giving. They come out, have a blast with us. So some of the greats in the tri-state area just stepping up to come down to Addison and just really giving it all. And some of the cool things that we'll be having, some entertainment. A couple of Jersey friends that, in particular, DJ Paul Anthony from the Event Specialists. He brings the vibe. He brings the energy to the space. We have these great singers, Armando and Cosmo Riccobono, nice Italian boys from R3 Brothers. We have the incredible pianist that everybody would know, NGXB, who's just exploding on the scene. And he plays everything from Black Sabbath to you name it, on his piano. We're gonna have sketchbook style artist Caitlin Mahoney, who's incredible. Red Sky Photo Booth, which is really cool because you do a photo booth shot and they kind of make it like a magazine cover where you look like a chef, and it's just phenomenal and
very
fun.
fun.
Yes. And then, of course, we can't do without the wine, right? So we have a tremendous wine refrigerator that's overstocked with great wines from our friends who are in the wine world, who just throw it down. Basically, you buy a key, and hopefully that key opens it up, and then invite Ken over for dinner. Fabulous live auctions, of course. And then I got
to catch up because literally the show is over in 30 seconds, and it's going to go right to commercial. So I have to pause you. But I want to tell everybody, it's the AshleyLaurenFoundation.org. AshleyLaurenFoundation.org. Buy tickets now. Early bird, better deal. 4th annual Chefs Who Care event, April 14th, Addison Park, Aberdeen, 5:30 to 9, benefiting pediatric cancer patients. Thanks, guys, for coming on, and have a great day.
Thank you, Ken. See you there.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much.